Okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm not sure if this will record, but we'll give it a shot. So I am going to run through a calibration on the CMS. I kind of already started, so I'm just going to minimize these. But basically, once you run your calibration files, and what I normally do is okay, so you would run your calibration as, your each standard as a separate file. And so when you go to run them, you generally will use the method that you're using for your daily sequence. Oh, of course I'm running right now. But basically what I did on this computer is I created a separate method file. Let's see if it'll let me open this. Okay. Called ODS single run calibration. So that way it'll save it in a separate folder when you run the calibration. But the method itself is exactly the same. So I'm just testing out this theory that if I can use that method file, even though it's technically called a different method than what we use for the daily sequence, because that one uses this ODS daily sequence.mth. But I think you're able to call it something different. But anyway, we're going to test that out. So when you would run your calibration, you would use the method file, mix your standard up, pour it into your vessel, and then run it. And then after it's begun, uh, then you would come up here and hit this little eye icon to add data info. And you would add the level. So if you're doing your Cal 1 point, just put level 1 and you can change the unit to ppb. And then I always add a little note here that says Cal 1 microliter in 2 liters DI and the date, time, and my initials or something. So if you add that in, then when you go to view your data files, and you click on a file name, say like, then down here, what you typed in that icon will populate. So then if you need to go and find those files later, they're there. It's there easily, easier to see. So I think I did it here. So yeah, so cal 5 cal plus 1 liter. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. So once you get all of those calibrations actually done, the four, so the 1 ppb, 2, 5, and 10, you would click on um, functions, calibrate. And what that will do will bring up this screen here. And the first thing you would do is click browse under method and find the method file that you are trying to calibrate. So, like I said, I ran it under the single run calibration so I can find it easier later, but I'm actually calibrating this ODS underscore single run method. So I had selected that, and it'll kind of bring up the most recent calibration that is associated with that method. And it might ask you something like, you ran this as a different file or a different method name. Do you want to proceed or something? So I just said yes, like override or whatever. I can't remember now. Sorry. Anyway, so it kind of brings up this screen, and then what you'll do is go to browse and under data files here, and then you go and you find those 4 files that you just ran your calibration under. So for me, it's these 4 here under calibration. If you ended up running them under your just regular sequence file, then you would have to go under this folder and then click through and find the one that you ran. So that's the only reason why I don't like always doing it in there, because it gets lost with your daily runs, but it's nice when you can go and find them later. So I went to here and if you click one and then you hit control, you can select all 4 of them and then hit OK. And then that will populate them here in this window. Um, and then make sure in this column that they're under global. And then if this concentration number isn't already filled in, then just put in the corresponding concentration. So 110, 5, 2, just whatever order it ended up putting it in there. Okay, so then we get to the actual calibrating part. So I think the SOP says to click on Calibrate Library, but when you go into that portion, you can't actually edit the retention times. And that's where it always gets really tricky because I'm pretty sure the SOP says to do it like that and it doesn't work like that. So that's where I get confused. But what I believe I've done before is I go to this Build Edit Template tab here. And what that does is it does let me edit, um, everything in the file. So what I would do first is I'm going to pull up, probably you want one of your larger concentrations to as your reference for your retention time. So I'm going to use my level 10. If you click it and hit display, it will pull up the chromatogram. Whoop, let's make that a little smaller here. And I just want to side by side here. So where'd it go? Hold on one second. That's the run. Okay, not sure where the actual calibration went. One moment here. Oh, it's up here. Okay. Save. Went away. All right, let's do this so we can see them both. Okay. So anyway, you'll have both windows open. So you have your chromatogram down here. If you need to zoom out, just hit the zoom out button. It'll bring the whole thing up. So I kind of adjusted a few of these already, so I can highlight and show you how the little cross does line up with some of them. But if I go back to the front compounds, the the crosses don't really line up. So that's how you know your current retention time in the saved in the method is not lining up with your current retention time. So I like to work backwards to front because as you start changing them, like you want to just make sure, little blips like this are probably not real peaks. So when you're going through and trying to like make sure you're lining up, because obviously we don't have a mass spec with this, so we can't confirm the identity of the peaks. So we're just going in order of what we already have in our list. Um, or I do have like a model chromatogram that I have printed out that I like will look back at and try to, just make sure that all my peaks are in order. So anyway, we'll go to the end here first to start. So like I said, I did already do this, but what I would do is I would go to the first peak and double click to like where I think the peak of the peak is, the apex. And then I look here at retention time. So RT is 2120. So this is my last compound, hexachlorobutadiene. So 2120, sure, we can just adjust it here so you can see. So it's at 2121. So we'll just click here and then you can just make sure you edit it and then click off of it and it will adjust that for you. But it isn't saved until we get to the next part. So anyway, I'm going to go through a few of these and then I might pause so you don't have to watch me do every single one. But then I would go to the next section here, make sure we're at the apex again. That's pretty close, but yeah, so 1726, 1727. I mean, you can leave it if you want, but we'll just adjust this one. Enter. Oh yeah, enter does work. Okay. Go back again. This one, 1639. That one's good. 1626. And this is why I like to go backwards because then I don't know, I feel like I get lost when I go from front to end. So it's easier to kind of go backwards so you know which peaks are correct. So anyway, this was 1626. I have it at 1627. I mean, we can zoom in and a little closer, but that's pretty close. So I think it's fine. Or no, I'm sorry. 26.8. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. Do a few more. So yeah, for instance, like this section, well, this is a small peak, but it does have a cross above it. So that probably is a true peak and not just background noise in the chromatogram. So we'll go ahead and call that one as well. So 1431. So that's my 1122. Next one here, 1322, bromoform, and then going over 1259, styrene. Okay. So anyway, okay, here's a few that are not in alignment. So let's start here. So you can kind of see there's one cross here and one cross here. And we have this little peak here, but clearly these two larger peaks are way more prominent. And so likely these two crosses are supposed to line up with these. Let me double check if there's another cross close by. Where would be here? I'm gonna highlight this whole section here. We have one, two, three, four, five crosses. One, two, three. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say these two crosses are supposed to be these larger peaks. So if we look at this one here, let's zoom in more. And we find the apex 1148. So right now, ethyl benzene, it should be 1207. Okay, so maybe that was our internal standard. So 1-chloro, 2-fluorobenzene is the internal standard. I wonder if I didn't run the internal standard on this one. Okay, now I'm confused. Because definitely chlorobenzene and ethylbenzene are like right next to each other. So these two peaks are those two for sure. So I'm going to say chlorobenzene is this one. Find the apex, 1132. So I'm going to adjust that to 1132. And then my ethylbenzene is the 1148. And change that one as well. Okay. And then again, that chlorobenzene is probably this 1207, but I don't remember if I had actually added that. Let me see if it's in the. Oh, I did. 1 microliter of internal standard. Okay. So let me pull that up here. So this must be internal standard, which is why it's so much smaller. So that one is 1213. So we'll just adjust that. Okay. Back to full view. We'll just do a couple more. Yeah, now these are just kind of off by a little bit. So this one, double click. So after, I'm sorry, before chlorobenzene is dibromochloromethane, 1024. So that's probably this one. So 1012. We'll change that one. I don't know if you can scroll over. I don't think so. So that was this one. Do a few of these. So we just did that one. Go to this next one. So before dibromos, tetrachloroethene, and it's probably the 936. And this guy should be 112 trichloroethane, so 932, but it is at 921. Okay, so back to the full screen. So we were on this guy. Let's highlight these three. Or is it the one I just, okay, 857, trans 13. So this is going to be 857. Next one, toluene, 826. And this one here, 747. So we're before toluene. So cis 1,3. Oh, shoot, sorry. Closed. 747. 47. Okay. I guess I'm gonna do them all. And then we've got these three, 658. 631. And 609. Okay. These four. They're pretty close. Oh no, actually no, I think they're off by one peak because that looks like, and that's where sometimes it gets confusing because you have to remember, okay, what was the last one that I already adjusted so you're not doing the wrong one, which I think we just did 631 because six oh right? Oh, no, I forget. Sorry. Let's double check. 609. Okay, so trichloroethane. Okay. So before trichloroethane, so 1,2-dichloroethane is 516. Oh, and actually before I hit enter there, the benzene and the 1,2-dichloroethane were at the exact same retention time. So they are co-eluders. So we'll just go ahead and change them both to 516. Um, Again, I think that is on that kind of chromatogram I have printed out. It tells you which one's co-elute to. So it's like, I just don't have it in front of me, but I do know there's a couple of pairs that co-elute. So we'll take the word for it from this thing since it was already the same time. And then I know definitely that chloroform 111 and carbon tet are triplets like in a row. So it definitely makes some more sense that this is the benzene over here. So anyway, this would be the carbon tet, so 459. And then this one, 447. And then chloroform, 434. Okay. So before chloroform, this one's definitely our solvent peak. So we know that that's not an actual peak there. So again, I'm still working backwards here, but just want to kind of double check which of these co-elutes. So bromomethane and 1,1-dichloroethene are the co-eluters, and then there's another one, acrylonitrile and trans 1,2 look like they co-elute. So just wanting to make sure I don't change the wrong ones. So this one is 339, which was before chloroform. So let's make that 339. And then these two are going to be the same peak. So 317. Do this one. Okay. And methylene chloride. Hmm. I think nothing large should be a larger peak. That's okay. We'll double check later. 305. And then that was this one, right? Yeah. Oh no, that was this one. Okay. So then this would be the 1, 2, or 1, 1. Yeah, that makes sense. That colludes. So 242 for both of these. So 42. Okay, and then our first one looked like this guy here, 220. Okay, so I'm pretty confident in that. That's our first peak. Again, that's the solvent peak, and then these are probably just contamination or just some background noise there. So, okay, so now we adjusted the retention times, and this is where, again, it kind of gets wishy-washy because it doesn't always work every time I do it. So we did the build edit there. So I think I want to save. Let me see if I hit save library. Okay, let's just save it because you never know. Yeah, we'll overwrite that. Okay, then we're gonna hit calibrate library. All right, let's see. So 220 was our first one. Let's just make sure that doesn't change. Okay, good. So let's stay the same. So we hit calibrate library. Now we're going to hit select the 4 files here. Peak search is selected under search. We're going to hit reset library and then start. Let's hope this works. And then we should see the crosses all move, hopefully to the right peaks. So let's just kind of look at a few of these and just see. Okay, that one lines up. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, good. So it looks like it worked. Double check all of these. It's a little, okay, looks good. Peek, peek, peek. Awesome. Okay. So I think that's good. That means it took what we just adjusted. So that's phase one, I guess. Step one. Okay. So this is where now they say to kind of go through each compound. Let me see if to look at the calibration or the linear regression and your see if I can make this a little bigger. Mm. Um, okay, bear with me here. This is where I have to kind of remember what to do. Let me pull up my SOP real quick. Okay, so click on each analyte to verify the accuracy of each curve in a calibration tab. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, so if I click these, okay, it does change. Okay, I wasn't sure. It didn't look like it changed. So you can see your curve here. That 5 ppb peak point, I'm sorry, is a little off center. Could have just been made a little, you're using micro syringes, so you never know. But anyway, that's decent. So let's look at our um, standard deviation, 6.8. That's pretty good. And then your R squared is 0.997. I think, ideally you want 0.999, but 0.99 anything is great. So we'll just go through each one and just make sure we at least have a 0.99. Now I can't even remember on this software if you don't have a good um R squared, if there's much you can really do with it, but we'll see when we get there. So anyway, and then your standard deviation should just be below 20%. So all of these are in the 10, under 10, or maybe a little more, but so 0.99, 0.97, or 997, 998, 984. Okay, well, so let me see if there's instructions on what to do for that. Okay, it does not say. So I guess it's kind of, it is what it is, because I don't think there's really any other way to adjust that, unless you can turn off that particular, okay. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I don't think so. So, oh, no. Yeah. Uh-oh. What's this doing? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. That's why. Okay. I just finished the run. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I guess, yeah, I'm not entirely positive if you can turn off any of these points. Um, I guess you can change your so that's not even that much better. 0.984. It didn't change it. Oops. Oh, standard deviation went way up. Force through origin. Yeah. I guess you can't change that R squared on this one. I don't know. So anyway, we'll just keep it at linear. Not really sure what to do for that. So maybe that's something I need to ask Inficon about, because I don't know if there's anything. I mean, I guess they would just probably tell you to rerun your 5 ppb, but for one compound, I'm not too worried about it. It's pretty close. Well, maybe a lot of these. Okay, there's another 0.98. Let's see what else we got. 995, 996. Okay, so really it was just those two outliers. Oh, and I just looked at the SOP and it did say 0.995 is technically the minimum, and then 15% standard deviation, but these are pretty good. I mean, I'm not too worried about if it's two nines, that's pretty good. Oh, that's our internal standard. So yeah, that's gonna look different. Although that's kind of all over the place. They should be a lot closer together. Okay, I don't know about that. Oh, maybe I can change that to average response. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Not sure about that one. Okay, anyway. T through. Okay, the rest look pretty good. I think there was like two or three that were a little bit low, but I'm okay with that. So at this point, I think we'll just hit save library again. So we're um and then I want to say just hit save to that method, because you want to make sure you're applying it to the method file. So which method did I choose? Oh yeah, this one. Dailysequence.mth. Oh wait. No, I'm sorry. Oh yes, single run.mth. That's I don't know what that one is. I'll have to double check. But yeah, so yeah, that's the file that we're calibrating here. So let's just say yes. I'm going to check the SOP again and just make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so yeah. Save library in the method. Make sure the calibration is applied to all of the um, method files. So for instance, let me come back here. So yeah, make sure they're all, so yeah, we just updated the single run.mth. Um, I think we can also, if we hit save, we can also save it to other method files. Let's try it. I don't know for sure if it'll take right away, but if I hit that one, for instance, I made that file as a CCV, so you can put those separately. Did it change anything? Are they all still the same? Okay, I feel like they're still there, so that's good. Our peaks look good. They might be a little off. Yeah, they're okay. Um, okay. So I think, yeah, if I can, then I can, yeah, just save it to each of those. I don't know if that actually saved before, but we're just going to say yes. Oh, I guess I already did that. Okay. And then we're going to try the other one, which is our calibration file, which I don't know if you have to calibrate the calibration file, but whatever. So we'll say yes. And which other one? Tap water. Oh, yeah. We did create a tap water for THMs on this one. So as long as yeah, I guess if you make the calibration once, you can then just save that particular library to each method file. So that way they're all like synced up. And then when you do it again, you just update it. I'm going to go ahead and do this one too, because I don't know if that's getting used by anything else. And just double check. We have our check standard, which I guess technically we can also do the check standard, um, since that just uses toluene, but then I guess we'll know if our retention time is the same. I don't know if that matters, but and let's see this single run grab. Do it for that one too. Okay. So I think that's it. Let me read the recipe one more time. Yeah. Um, let's just test the theory. If it took, if I close out of this, hopefully, yeah, doesn't say anything about, are you sure you want to save? Okay. So now if I run a sample, so the issue with, I can't go back to a previous file because the calibration, you can't calibrate after the fact on the CMS. So for instance, if I go to like the last sequence, um, it already saved it. So it shouldn't have these new retention times because it hadn't been applied yet. Let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure. Where'd it go? Okay, where is it? Oh no. Okay, we glitched. Let's out this. Okay, try this one more time. Okay, all right. It's going to run in a minute and 2 minutes. Actually, I'm just going to abort that because I want to make sure it actually took the calibration. So anyway, I'm just going to run method. When you have a .xmth sequence, that's just made up of one of these .mth files in a sequence. So you would say to either repeat this, continuously or whatnot. So this is their XMTH. So this should have, it's running technically that ODS daily sequence method, or I'm sorry, the single run method, I think. I don't know if there's a way to verify that. View current method. Let's see. Dot XMTH. Hmm. That's the full one. Does it tell me? Okay, modify look there. At least that tells us that the calibration was modified to 20, which is today, right? Yeah. 11:25. Okay, so at least it does have the current calibration associated. So I'm gonna say we're good, hopefully. I'll check back and make sure. So like once that runs, I would then, when I pull up that file, I would, this isn't it, but if it was, go to like your reports here, and then you can see your retention times that are expected or the predicted retention time. So right, I remember that first one was 220. So obviously this is the file before. So if the new one that I'm running right now, when I come back and check it in a bit, hopefully that says 220, then I know it definitely has my calibration that I just did. But if it doesn't, then I did something wrong. But hopefully it's right. And I will, yeah, we'll just go with that. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.